I jumped out of the truck and got thunder. This is the Grove of Six. It's raining. Just trying to get back now. Hello, I'm Chris Searles. And before we talk about rainmaking with trees, let's establish one very important thing. The trees are the rainmakers. I am just restoring their natural function. And you can think of that natural function as nature's plumbing on land. You can learn how to do this too. In this video, I'm going to show you really quickly the 3 studies that got me started, plus a synopsis on what it is I'm doing to bring the rain. Okay, so you're going to hear some very big claims, and I'm going to reintroduce myself because of that. I'm Chris Searles. I'm the founder and leader and main staff member at BioIntegrity.net, or BioIntegrity Partnerships. And here is the quick story on my rainmaking experiments and projects so far. Since May of 2022, I've carried out more than 50 projects. I've had a better than 85% success rate getting potential or unforecast rain to fall.
It's supposed to be 102 degrees today.
We have a solution. Look at this. All of this work is based on 10 or 12 key learnings, mostly from the academic research, and I'm going to share about all that in a future video. In the notes below in this video, there's a link to more than 100 studies on this topic of how moisture flows through organisms and ecosystems and our life support system and how that changes the climate. There's also a link to the 2022 notes for all the rainmaking projects I've done, and just tons of science. But all of this begins with lived experiences. And in this case, the feeling of moisture in the air. And that's where I'm going to start. So if you go with me back to June of 1989, it was a hot summer in Central Texas. And me and my friend David were on our way to a party. We had just graduated high school. We were driving in North Austin, and as we headed down one particular stretch of road, all of a sudden David goes, "Ooh, can you feel that?" And he rolls down the window and sticks his hand out and says, "Cool air." Like this magical thing. And it just struck me. I had never really noticed or thought about it. I had noticed, I guess, but not thought about this phenomenon. And he's rolling the window and the air's coming in, it's rushing in. And this is a guy that is a great musician, and he's teaching me about the air. And I never forgot that. And again, all of this is about moisture in the air that is released and circulated by trees. And we learn quickly, the bigger, the better. The bigger the trees, the better. Now, fast forward to the science and 25 years later and the work that I'm doing today. Here are the 3 most influential studies that got me started experimenting with rainmaking. In 2017, I read an article, "The Amazon Makes Its Own Rain." And this actually led me to finding the 2012 study that talked about how the Amazon seeds its rain with salt particles released by leaf stomata. Leaf stomata are like the pores in your skin. They're the little mouths that open and close in the leaves to receive moisture and to breathe in and out carbon and oxygen and so forth. And then in 2018, I read the study called "Trees, Forests, and Water: Cool Insights for a Hot World." This study, number 1, I recommend to everyone on Earth. It's extremely significant, but it also confirmed for me that forests do share moisture, and they do it over vast distances, as in continental scale, over state lines, over national lines, and all that has a massive cooling and moistening effect. And then in 2019, I found a study called "Terrestrial Water Fluxes Dominated by Transpiration." Now, transpiration is the plants breathing. When they exhale, they release moisture. This study said that the leaf stomata, the little pores in the leaves, are responsible for 80 to 90% of evapotranspiration. Evapotranspiration is the moisture that exchanges between the landscape and the atmosphere. 80 to 90%. When I read that factoid, 80 to 90% is controlled by little tiny leaf stomata, I went outside and immediately started watering the big trees, and 45 minutes later, we got rain. First try. Same thing the second day, and then the third day, no rain. And it goes on from there. But in summary, here's what I took away from these 3 key studies. Number 1, trees can make rain. Number 2, trees actually share rain or share moisture over landscapes through the air. And number 3, trees can control the rain from time to time. So with these 3 big takeaways, I came up with 3 basic principles. They're simple. Number 1, water big trees. Number 2, water networks of big trees on the upwind side of the forest to move moisture over landscapes. You want to start at the edge. And I'll explain more about this in the longer video. Number 3, put the water where it matters the most, where it's most effective. Put it onto the tree's body, the root balls, the leaves, and the trunks. So in other words, this comes down to just 3 big ideas. Big trees, location, location. With all this in mind, I wanted to know, can a person really stimulate these natural effects? And yes, you can.
The rain that's just started falling here. Picking up.
It doesn't take much water, especially for what you get in return. It varies. Contact me if you want to know more about how much water it is per site, per tree. It just varies depending on the conditions. But let me tell you about what I'm doing. In order to bring the rain or attract the rain, there has to be moisture supply in the air and in the landscape, in the vegetation and soils. If the air and the landscape are too dry, like a desert, then there's just literally no rain to fall. And I learned that hard lesson this summer, 2023. What I'm actually doing scientifically is stimulating massive transpiration effects, breathing and inhaling and exhaling of moisture, and releasing these particles that get the vapor in the clouds overhead to convert their vapor to water and chill it and let it fall as rain. It's how it works, and it's a real miracle in real life. And so let me just give you one last piece here. This is the last section of this video. I talk a lot about trickle watering when I'm talking to people about this. This is the main technique, this putting the trickle next to the root ball. It's about 95% of the water that goes into the trees. But this trickle watering, the best analogy is it's like you want to treat the tree like you're giving water to a 5-year-old. You want to be gentle. If a small child comes up to you and says they're dehydrated, you don't spray them in the face with a fire hose. Same thing with these trees. It's about rehydration. You don't want to flood them. You want to rehydrate them gently, same as you would with your own children. They can only drink so fast, just like us. So it's not about speed. It's about simplicity. It's about taking your time and letting these trees come back into balance. So these 3 watering techniques are really simple. What I'm literally doing, number 1, again, trickling the root balls. This means dripping water right up against the trunk. The number 2 technique is to mist the leaves. Imitate the rain. Mist the stomata. Misting is most effective when it's gentle. It's not about industrial strength. It's about coverage, and it's about reawakening the biological processes of these organisms. And lastly, saturate the trunks. Pour the water that you have as slowly as possible, or you can spray it with a hose, from as high as possible on the trunk, and then go around 360 degrees. I call this technique washing the baby elephant. You really want to treat this tree with your best gentle care. You want to saturate that bark, let it clean out, and just get soaked with some fresh water. So again, it varies the amount of water per project, but when done correctly, the balancing of these proportions, these rainmaking techniques are always returning more water than I put in. And to just sum up, it really comes down to just these words: trickle, mist, saturate, root balls, stomata, trunks, big trees, networks, location. When hydrated, these elements can build the primary conditions to bring rain to droughted areas over enormous distances, like hundreds of miles, and cause it to fall. They can also help a little bit of cloud forecast, a little bit of light rain forecast, cause it to fall.
It's raining. Yay!
So far, I've seen major rains arrive on my timeline again and again, just from sensing the tree, air, moisture balance. like with David, and observing overhead what's happening. Anyone can learn to do this, I think. In the next video, I'm going to give a quick walkthrough of my 2022 notes, and then over the next several weeks, I'll do a video with a more detailed explanation of the science, share my 2023 notes, and do several other things as well, some conversations, and keep moving all this forward. The takeaway for everybody here: trees bring rain. Trees equal rain. Don't cut. Nurture. And contact me anytime with questions. BioIntegrity.net. Thanks for watching.